Hi, first grade mathematicians. Last week, you guys started learning about measurement, and you learned that things can be put into order, different objects can be put into order from shortest to longest or longest to shortest. We're going to talk a little bit more about what it means to measure today. When you measure something, it means that you are using one object to compare it to the thing that you want to measure to see how long that thing is. There are many different kinds of instruments that you can use to measure. I have a whole bunch over here. You can see where I'm pointing. You can use a ruler to measure, or a tape measure, or a measuring tape, or a yardstick. Those are all things that you mostly use to measure, but sometimes you can also use other things like colored tiles and paper clips or buttons, or gerbil corns, which you'll, if you watch the video at the end of this lesson, you'll understand why I put gerbil corns in there. So today what I wanted to teach you mathematicians was that mathematicians use different instruments, like colored tiles, to measure other objects in their classroom or at home. This gives them an idea about the length of the object. So today we're going to be using colored tiles to measure different objects. Our first object that we're going to measure is this Sharpie marker. Okay, so I'm going to use these colored tiles, and what exactly I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the colored tiles right under my marker. I'm going to make sure that the sides are touching, because if I spread the tiles out, I won't get the correct measurement. So here's what I mean. If I did this, I moved my colored tiles underneath, and I kind of put it like this, and say, oh, this marker is 3 tiles long. I wouldn't be measuring accurately. So the way that I want to line them up is so that they're touching each other on the sides. So I'm going to make sure that this tile is touching the line, because that's where the beginning of the Sharpie marker starts. And then I'm gonna bring down each tile, and right next to it, place the tile there. Okay, so I'm gonna keep doing that until all the tiles are touching and I reach the end of the marker. I'm gonna make sure that they touch. Okay, and as you can see, we're measuring about how many. So I don't want to put another tile, because then I'll be like way over that red line. So I'm going to stop right there. Now that I have my tiles lined up and they're all touching each other, they're all side by side, I can count them up and see how long this Sharpie marker is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 tiles lined up underneath our Sharpie marker. So I would say that our Sharpie marker is about 7 colored tiles long. I'm actually going to write that right here for you. The Sharpie marker is about 7 colored tiles long. Okay, because that answers our question. Okay. Let's go on to something else, our next one, okay? Over here, I have a stapler I wanted to measure. So I'm going to do the same thing like I did with my Sharpie marker. I'm going to take my tiles, I'm going to line them up from one red line to the last red line, making sure that they're side by side and touching so that I get an accurate measurement. So let's start there. 1. I can even count as I go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this one is just short too, but I'm not going to put another tile there because then it would be too long. It would go over the line way too much. So I believe when I counted it was 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is 8 colored tiles. So my sentence will say that the stapler is about 8 colored tiles long. Okay. And now we'll go on to do one more, and then it's going to be your turn to do some independent work. You guys are actually going to skip this first step of putting the of measuring the objects in your independent work. You're already going to see the tiles there. You're going to have to do the second step of counting up the tiles to see about how long the objects are. Okay? But I did want to teach you how you can actually measure, because if you have any of these things at home, you should try it out. All right, let's get to measuring this paintbrush. So I'm going to start here right on the red line. And again, I'm going to keep going and touching the sides of my colored tiles until I get to the end of the paintbrush. Yeah, so far I have 1. I forgot to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, even though that's not a big deal because you could always count at the end. 5, 6, 7, 8. And this one has quite some space, so I'm going to fit one more in there. It might be a little bit over, but that's okay if it's a little bit over, okay? So, oh, I forgot the number I counted. Let me go back and recount them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this paintbrush is about 9 colored tiles long. So I'm going to write that in a sentence. The paintbrush is about 9 colored tiles long. Okay. Okay, guys. So now it's your turn. You're going to go back into the slides, click on the link for 9.3 independent work, and you're going to get started. Now remember, I know you can't really print things out. So what you can do is I explain in the directions, but you can write the number problem in your notebook and then just write the answer in, okay? Right next to the number of the problem. And at the end, you'll have this fun little video on the slides to watch. So we're going to see how the fairies from Sesame Street measure Gonagan's hair, what they use. And I gave you a little hint up here. So enjoy the video. Have a great lesson. Happy learning.